Hello there, everyone. We've got two people in at the minute, and it's only just turned past, so hopefully we'll get a few more people in soon. If you're watching, let me know in the live chat because we interact with that quite a bit as we get on. But yeah, welcome to is it the third match day Monday? Obviously, last week was international break. Boo, we should not have international breaks so many times this early on in the season. But if anyone can let me know if you can hear me okay, that would be great. I always have issues, I feel like, with lives and even uploading lately as well. So let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Sorry, my voice is a little bit raspy. Jack says he can hear me fine, so we'll go from there. Um, how did everyone enjoy this weekend's football? I feel like we had quite a good weekend for it. A few interesting results, a few interesting performances as well, I feel like, including referees, getting a lot in a bit. But I'll give it a little bit of time so I can have a drink to see if anyone else joins first. I will say while we're waiting for people to join, this show will I'm hoping beginning of next month become a Patreon exclusive show. Now my Patreon is £4 a month, and with that you will get this show, which is going to be coming like fan interactive. People will be coming on, so if you want to ever join in on a show, either call in and talk about your thoughts on a game, or even video chat like this and talk about your thoughts on any of the games, that'll be coming. That'll take a little bit more time for me to sort out and figure out how I'm going to do it. But also with Patreon, you get an exclusive giveaway each month where all the names go into a hat. I draw a name out of the hat, and whoever's name it is wins the prize that month. Last month was a signed Robbie Fowler Anfield Road sign. This month is a signed programme by Mark Lawrence and Phil Neal. Phil Neal is Liverpool's most decorated player ever, won everything there is to win with the club. And yeah, pretty solid legends there then, both Mark Lawrence and Phil Neal. Next month is a player that we're going to be talking about a lot today, which is Curtis Jones. I've got a signed Curtis Jones item, which will be getting given away from the end of November. All the giveaway draws take place on the 1st of the following month. So October's giveaway draw will take place on the 1st of November. November's giveaway draw will take place on the 1st of December. So as long as you're signed up during that time, that's fine. You'll be entered. Like I said, big ones coming up. Curtis Jones next month, and an even bigger one, I'd say, for Christmas, for December. So keep an eye out for them because I've got them next to me, so I'm sort of looking at them, but don't want to give anything away yet. There is really big prizes coming up soon for the monthly giveaways. So keep your eye out for them. But yeah, that being said, I've got my notebook. Let's get in. First game we've got to talk about is obviously Liverpool's game against Chelsea. Now, I said this in my matchday vlog, said it before the game. This was Slot's first big test, I feel like. It was his first big game at home. And with the form teams are currently in, Chelsea, I would say, is probably our biggest test yet this season. And we took it and we went and we got the win. I will say the crowd for that first 10 minutes was absolutely unbelievable. It was a really good atmosphere most of the game, better than it has been for a while. But there was moments where it was like up and down with the atmosphere. But the first 10 minutes was just relentless, and I think it sort of set the pace for the game. I will say though that first half Chelsea, I felt like did try and stop and start the play as much as possible and try and interrupt Liverpool's rhythm and that. Um, I think a lot of people probably agree with me in that Chelsea did try and do that. You saw either them going down or little instances like that. Um, I will say with it though, throughout the whole game, I've got written here that we took the chances better, and I felt that watching it that give Chelsea the due. They did have their chances. It's just we took ours better, and overall we played better. It wasn't a bad performance by Chelsea by any means. Chelsea looked good. I will say though, Cole Palmer I felt went missing. Whether that's something to watch in big games, we'll have to wait and see. But Cole Palmer, I think, is one of the best players in the Premier League right now, and to see how we handled him was brilliant. Like sometimes I forget he was on the pitch, so that is a really good point for us to look at is we basically put out their best player. You didn't see him at all in that game where he is usually on fire. So really good to look at there. Going on to the goals, obviously it was 2-1 scoreline. First one is Salah with a penalty. Again, Curtis Jones, player that I mentioned before to do with the Patreon, he's going to get mentions a lot during this game. He goes down, gets the penalty. Salah steps up and scores it, but Curtis, if he didn't get took out, probably could have scored it. Same with the second incident with a penalty where could have been a penalty on any other day, could have not been a penalty on any other day. It's one of them things at the minute with refereeing where that sort of decision could go either way depending on the day. I will say, like, I was shocked with Curtis's performance. And then obviously goes on with the second goal. And it was I made up for him. He's had an unforgettable week. He's already been made a father this week for the first time with his little baby girl. And now he goes into the game and he says after the game how he slept in the spare room to try and help with his sleep. And it pays off. He starts the game and absolutely brilliant. For Slot, I'd hate it right now because you've got McAllister who's probably going to come back in fit, and you've got when Harvey Elliott's back fit. You've got an issue with midfield, making sure all them players get some game time, but making sure like you start with your best. And at the minute, the best players are so close to each other that that's going to be a really difficult task for Slot, I feel like, at the minute. Hopefully Curtis's performances do continue. We've got Leipzig midweek. That's going to be interesting to see. Does he get started there as well? But I thought it was really good. Going on to a bit of bad news, I'd say, is Jota injury. I've not actually seen anything yet today that says what the injury was. I know there was a lot of rumours yesterday of like broken collarbone, broken rib sort of thing, but I've not actually read anything today. I will say though, I can't think of who the player was that went in a Jota now, but when you see it back and you see the Saliba incident from the Arsenal game, it is so similar. Refereeing wise, I don't understand how one can be a yellow and one can be a red. In my opinion, if the Saliba one's a red, that one on Jota's a red. Um, Poor refereeing yet again. I feel like there's loads of moments in the game where only like little incidences where it was like it should have been a free kick, or it was a free kick, but it also should have also been a booking, or it was a booking when it shouldn't have been a booking. It was really crazy from the referee at times. You saw it towards the end with Nunes. Nunes was starting to get a little bit fed up because the ref really wasn't taking action at all on certain players. And you saw him starting to get wound up. Now, I even said in the first half to the guy sat next to me, this is going to end up with a fight on the pitch because the ref was starting to lose the game by not making the right decisions when it should be a free kick, when it should be a booking. So that was an interesting thing. But I feel like looking through a few games this weekend, you could see them issues all over. And yeah, it's just the same old now with refereeing. It's so inconsistent that I don't really think much can be said on it until they try and do something to fix it. Like VAR is not always working to the best of its ability, but then the refereeing seems to be getting worse and worse. Um, in terms of the referee, and there was one key incident that I remember at the match, and I've watched it back, and watching it back, you're even in more disbelief, and that was Salah with Colwill. Now Colwill's pulled on his shirt. Salah's nearly gone down, pulled back up because he's got like a really good chance here to go on and either assist someone or score himself. So Colwill's pulled on the shirt. Skip Salah's due, doesn't go down. He could have gone down and tried to get the free kick then, but I think Salah knows, like the rest of us, when it's Salah, he very rarely gets it. But then the player also kicks out a little bit at Mo once the player's gone to the floor after trying to pull Mo down with him. And then he gets back up and he has a little bit of shove in the back of Mo. Not one of them instances which it was like that, like couldn't can't think of the word, but straight like after each other. And the fact there was nothing there wasn't a free kick, there wasn't a talking to with Colwell, there was nothing. Very, very interesting. But yeah, like I said, for me, man of the match is Curtis Jones 100%. Watching the game back and seeing a bit more of his play during the game, as well as the key moments like the penalty and him scoring. And there was a moment where he actually cleared the ball out, and it was pretty decent clearance of the ball. Chelsea could have very well gone on and scored if he hadn't have done that. Um, but yeah, like I said, 2-1. Liverpool still top of the league after the international break. And yeah, it was, like I said, the performance from both sides were really good, but Liverpool did take the chances better. Going to go on to the next game now, which was the game just before Liverpool's on Sunday, which was Wolves against Man City, and it ended up Wolves 1, Chelsea, Man City 2. And should Man City have got that second goal? Absolutely not. Like, in my opinion, that second goal, I'm going to get on it a bit later. I want to talk a bit more about the game in general because that was in the dying moments. But yeah, just crazy. Let me know in the live chat right now and in the comments if you're watching this back later. What was your thoughts on Chelsea? I keep saying Chelsea. Man City's second goal. It was it was interesting, should we say? But yeah, so it actually started off with Wolves scoring within the first 10 minutes, which I got stick on the first match day Monday for saying I don't think Wolves will go down. And then last week I went, actually, I think that might be right. Not last week, the week before. But I was like, I feel like Wolves might be right, might be going down. And I've said this multiple times, their performances do not match up with the results they get. And again, another one unfairly that they lose all points. But I want to say their keeper, so I think is past few games been absolutely brilliant for them. I feel like he's kept them in games a lot of the time. But I feel like in this City game, he played brilliantly, but also defensively when they were dealing with City in and around the box, they dealt with them quite well. I will say though, City though, which sort of like it makes it sound like Wolves didn't play as well as they did, but Wolves like not taking anything away from Wolves saying this because this has been an issue now since I'd say the beginning of the season. City are not clinical with their chances compared to how they used to be. It's really like unusual for City at the minute. I don't feel like we're seeing your typical City lately, and it's going to be interesting to see any point soon if that old City does come back because usually it does. Usually it's not this many games though. So it's going to be interesting to see about with City. I will say though, their first goal from Guardiola, brilliant, brilliant shot. I remember watching it in the pub before our game yesterday and being like devastated. Obviously, that City had come back to draw at that point, but also like just everyone was like, "What a goal it was!" You couldn't take away from the fact it was a brilliant goal. Um, so yeah, the second City goal going into it, I'll see what the comments have said. Jack has said about he saw me in the pub yesterday when the Wolves game was on. From what I seen then and then watching it back, that Stones winner probably shouldn't have been allowed. 100% agree with that. And I've said on here how Bernardo Silva is in front of the keeper, shoving his back against the keeper, which straight away is putting the keeper off his positioning. Then the keeper to get Bernardo Silva out of the way as the ball comes crossing in, he has to shove Silva. So again, another move where it's not allowing them to focus on the ball. During all this though, Silva is in an offside position. He's still in an offside position when Stones gets the ball, gets it in the back of the net. And you see I would say it's maybe a second between Silva actually moving out of the way and Stones actually hitting the ball. And it is interference. They go on about this offside rule and go, oh, if you didn't interfere with play, that's fine. You can stay in that offside position. Okay, then why was Silva allowed to be in that offside position and then basically impede the goalkeeper? He's made him not be in position properly, not be focused on the ball because he's focused on Silva pushing into him. It is so wild how VAR looked at it and went, actually, you know what, that's fine. Because any other day, that is given as interference. It's given as offside. It's it's not a good look from VAR when we're talking about the refereeing and VAR in particular constantly that something like that isn't, like, given as a no goal, because in my opinion it was, and I feel like a lot of people as well would agree with us. It's a crazy decision. Stones though, again, Arsenal game, he got the last minute equaliser, comes back with Wolves, and he gets the last minute winner this time. So, I would say Stones is probably is turning into, like, the saviour at the minute. A bit reminds me a bit of, like, when Company would score last minute for them, and then you'd look at the end of the season and you'd be like, "Oh, he's the one that won them the league." Jack saying Bernardo Silva is a player who I have always disliked as well. I think every Liverpool fan and basically most people in the Premier League that don't support Man City don't really like Bernardo Silva. John saying, Man City very lucky. Refs got to stop helping them. Before then, last corners, Wolves should have had a free kick at the other end. But yeah, he was offside putting the keeper off. Solo P1 saying, big up Courtney, I never knew you did live reviews. You'll never walk alone. It's a brand new thing and it will be going over on the Patreon. So make sure you go and check out Patreon. I also give away items on there. This month is Mark Lawrenson and Phil Neal signed programme. Next month is Curtis Jones signed items, so keep an eye out for that. On to the next game, and I'm going to save, people would usually expect me to go for Arsenal next. I'm going to save that for a bit later on, just so we can have a bit more of a chat about it. Tony saying the City game makes you think the officials are getting paid to give them decisions. And then Silva looks like Fernando's twin. Going on next game, which is Spurs 4, West Ham 1. A little bit of a London derby. I would say that I don't think it was the most exciting game. Like I said, I've only watched the highlights on this one. But West Ham with the first goal, and West Ham haven't been having the greatest of times as of lately. But to get that first goal, like, and then get beat 4-1 is devastating as a fan. And I don't really know how it happened other than the fact it looked like West Ham just crumbled after Spurs' first two goals went in. I feel like West Ham just completely fell apart in that moment then, and then that explains why there was another two quickly followed after that first two. Um, Funny though that Kudus, who scored West Ham's goal, he got a red card in the 86th minute, and the red card, if you get the chance, go and watch it because it is one of the most craziest red cards I've ever seen in a long time. I've never seen a player for ages lose it so much. Kudus completely, like, his head went. It starts out with one of the Spurs players going to the floor, and at first I go, "Oh, Kudus is trying to kick the ball there," but then he kicks again and again, and there's no ball there. So he's starting to look like he's kicking out at the player, which I don't know whether it's going to get looked into anymore. But obviously, at the minute, he's got, I think, is it a 3-match ban because of the red card. But then he also then gets up, and when the fight almost ensues of all the players coming together, he then goes and pushes not one but two players, and it's a bit like, you can't do that. You know, as a player, you can't do any of the things you've just done. He had to be expecting a straight red straight away. It was crazy. Um, Jack saying he was out during this game, but it seems like West Ham basically collapsed as soon as Spurs got back into it. Kudos with a very silly red card at the end as well. Glad to know I'm not the only one who thought all that looking at West Ham and Spurs' game. It was crazy. But I will say, and this sort of comes to the point of West Ham crumbling because they crumbled defensively. The possession wise, they both had it fairly equally. It was 58% to Spurs and 42% to West Ham, which by the scoreline you wouldn't think that. But it is the way defensively West Ham just crumbled. They couldn't handle any threat coming from Spurs, it felt like. Then I'm going to go on the United game. United getting another win yet again. What a shock. Man United 2, Brentford 1. Again, now Brentford scoring first, and it seems like a running thing lately with United, and it has for a while. That they come back. It's they have to have gone down to come back and win. It doesn't feel like they get any. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of times where they get a straight win. Like it's they've controlled most of the game. Um, it is like crazy at the minute though that they were so close to getting Ten Hag. He's had a few good results. Come back from international break. During the international break, we weren't sure if Ten Hag was going to come back. The owners at Man United had a meeting about that, and it lasted. I think I seen it was something like 7 hours or something, and it's a bit crazy. He somehow managed to keep his job, but obviously it's worked for them at the minute. First game back, he's got another win for them. I will say though, United I felt came out better in the second half, and anyone who's seen Brentford's goal and what happened in the build up to it, I can understand if United fans and United themselves aren't happy over that first Brentford goal because Delit, who got injured a bit earlier on, had a head injury that was bleeding. Um, do not understand though why United's medical staff didn't do the old bandage trick where they put plaster slash bandage on and then wrap it so it doesn't move. He went back on with what almost looked like just a tissue stuck to where the bleeding was. Obviously, that ended up coming off at some point, I believe. So that was the first time he went off. I believe he had to go off a second time. And then the third time, West Ham had just won a corner, but the ref said to Delay he had to go off because there was blood still pouring out. Um, he did not let West Ham wait for that corner to happen. He was like, "Yeah, just go ahead and take it." While United were down to 10 men temporarily because of Dealey going off again. And I do say that Brentford was like a really good header from the corner. I, it is one of those, do I think if Dealey was on, would he have like made any difference? And it's not really, but you never know. So I can sort of understand like not the I wouldn't say uproar, but the disappointment with that. So that is an interesting one. But like I said, it's really good for Ten Hag at the minute, getting another win keeps him in the job that little bit longer. Um, Vic, who is a City fan who actually watches the channel quite a bit, so thank you. Don't know if I'd be watching Man City channels, but I appreciate it. Says when we scored the winner, I took my shirt off and celebrated. That was nearly very embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie, it did look like the players were celebrating like they just won a cup, and it's a bit like I think it's too early in the season for them sort of celebrations. I'd understand if it was a bit closer to like the back, at least the back half of the season sort of thing. But yeah, really crazy. Next one is another team managing to get another win miraculously. It seems like because I don't think any of us were expecting a win a few games lately, and that is Everton. Everton played Ipswich away and won 2-0. It was a pretty boring game. It's two teams that at the minute are probably going to be in the relegation battle at the end of the season. Although Everton's form has improved, it will be interesting to see when bigger teams come to play them. What goes on there, but it was a pretty even possession as well, 55% at Ipswich, 45% at Everton, 13 attempts for Ipswich, 11 for Everton. But then when it comes to shots on target, this is what left Ipswich down ultimately, I feel like, was they only had 2 to Everton's 8 on target. So definitely, I think Ipswich need to look at completing their chances a little bit better by the looks of it. But obviously, it's massive for Everton getting 2 goals, keeping a clean sheet, getting the win. It's massive for them, especially if you look where they were only a few weeks ago and people were already saying they're relegated this season. They seem to have came out. So hopefully we see this continue for them and see what happens. But it's going to be interesting this season, I feel like, because I do feel like a lot of the teams we had who we were like, they're getting relegated this season, who were in the worst form, out of the few teams you were expecting to be relegated, the teams like that you had at the bottom seem to have picked up form, and maybe the three above them have sort of slipped down and changed. And it's going to be interesting to see during this season whether the bottom three are going to keep changing, because some seem to be having peaks in form at the minute, where others are having dips. So it's going to be interesting to see who continues on this good form and who doesn't. Next, going on to another big game this weekend, especially when it comes to the title challenge this season. It was Bournemouth against Arsenal. Now, last last match day Monday, I did say, hang on, my headpiece fell out. Last match day Monday, I did say how, for me, Arsenal is our bigger threat for the league. I feel like this season, I just feel like performances are better from them. After Saturday night, I'm not too sure. They got beat 2-0 by Bournemouth. In fairness, after half an hour, they did go down to 10 men due to Saliba being sent off, and I do agree with the sending off. There's I think Saliba's very stupid to do it though, because if he hadn't have done it, I don't think Bournemouth would have scored from it. But the issue is the Bournemouth player is the last one between Arsenal's defence and their goal, and Saliba takes him out. And I think as soon as you do that, it is a question of have you stopped a clear goal scoring opportunity? And possibly, yes. I just think with Bournemouth skills, I don't know if they would have. And that's nothing to have a go at against Bournemouth. It's just I don't think their strikers are capable of it. Could have surprised us and done it anyway, but I do just think it's really stupid from Saliba. But anyways, he misses the LFC game next weekend, so thanks for that, Saliba. Um, Going on then now to Bournemouth's goals. You've got Christie scoring in the 70th minute, and then not long after that, there is a penalty, and Cliver scores on the 79th minute with the penalty. Um, I will say though, if you watched it, and I was watching it actually at Hotel Anfield for the Redmen TV event, we had like a live show there, and Bournemouth seemed to have quite a few chances throughout the game, but like I said, they just weren't clinical enough with them in the moment they needed to score. It was either a very poor shot or it was a shot off target sort of thing. So really interesting though that result. I did feel like it was Arsenal's worst performance we've seen in a long time now. Arsenal have been really decent of late, and I just feel like I wasn't expecting it against Bournemouth at all. I was expecting it maybe you could understand a bit of a worse performance against us or against City or against someone else. They played brilliantly against City the other week. That's what's even crazier about this is they then go to Bournemouth and the form's dropped. But again, it is after an international break. And we keep saying how international breaks do affect teams' forms, and this is sort of like proof to it, I feel like. But yeah, Bournemouth played really well, 48% possession throughout the game and 13 attempts on target to Arsenal's 6. Arsenal, a team that are going for the league and have been now for the past 3 seasons. It is a pretty shocking game to watch. It's good if you're either a City fan or a Liverpool fan to see that performance from them, but if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be praying that is a one-off and it's a blimp. So, yeah, let's see what the chat's saying dead quickly. Jack said, "Interested to hear your thoughts on the Saliba stuff." Yeah, I do feel like the Jota one was so similar as well. That's what's really frustrating about it. Brian says, "Evening, everyone. Evening, Brian." Everton Fan TV says, "Hi, Courtney. I'm an Everton fan, but watch your matchday vlogs. Whilst you're on the topic of Everton, we've got Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, and Brentford coming up. Our tougher tests are in December." Yeah, it is. It's a better month for Everton coming up. I will say Fulham at the minute. I feel like potentially that could be a tough game for you, and possibly West Ham. I feel like West Ham could be a tough game. Um, there are teams that are sort of struggling, but performance-wise, I feel like they might be able to work something out against us. Brentford and Southampton, though, you may have your chances with them. We'll have to see how it goes. Paul T saying, "I've never seen Arsenal as a threat." Weirdly enough, I really think like Arsenal are a bigger threat this season than City. We just need to see now how they come back from this result against Bournemouth. Michael, "Hi, I'm watching from Florida, USA. The Bournemouth game was so pleasing. Go Reds." Michael, let me know where in Florida you are watching from. As you can see over here, I'm a massive Disney fan, but also I absolutely adore Florida. Been around many, many places in Florida, so I'm really interested to see where you're watching from. Jack says, "I loved every second of that Bournemouth game. Great to watch, great hate watch," and it's yeah, completely. When I was in Hotel Anfield with the Redmen TV live going on, they kept that on before it all started, and it was so funny to see everyone celebrate as if Liverpool had scored. That was literally the feeling you got with it, which was really, really funny. Ellis has said, "Courtney, so what do you reckon to Virgil getting a new contract nearly and us winning the league?" Not going to comment on us winning the league anytime soon because I don't want to jinx it. I'm very superstitious, so stuff like that. I'm just going to say we're top of the league right now. It's looking positive. Form's really good. Slot ball is brilliant right now, but we'll have to see how it goes. Virgil, I've said this from the beginning. Virgil, I was never worried about. Virgil, I believe, will be at Liverpool until the end of his career, and will hopefully, if he gets the chance to stay there till the end of his career, and it's not the club that wants to get rid of him, he'll do that 100%. And I do think we will see him massively involved with the club after his time playing football, whether that's as an ambassador role, whether that's him going into coaching at some point and coming back to the club, or even if we just see him at like Legends games or charity events like that. I definitely think Virgil will continue to be a massive part of LFC for the foreseeable. And then Mark, hi Mark. Everyone here loves Liverpool too. Well, most people do anyway. Then I have got Fulham 1. Sorry, my phone just lit up. I was really confused. Fulham 1, Villa 3. Um, Fulham missed a pen in that game, and that's all that pops in my head. That penalty is probably one of the worst took penalties I've ever seen. Off the top of my head, I can't think of who it is that took it, but it was the little stutter up on the run up, but it was one of the slowest run ups, and then there was no pace behind the ball when they hit it. It was more like a pass back, what you'd expect to see to a keeper, not a penalty at all. It was low bottom corner. Keeper dived in the right direction, but there was no power at all behind it. It was just a simple catch for him. So sort of similar to, well, probably worse than what you'd expect to see in a training drill. Some of the shots that were took to them. But yeah, again in that game, there seems to be a theme of red cards this weekend. Two sending offs, one for Fulham with Anderson, and then one for Villa with Philogene Philogene? I don't know how to pronounce his name 100%. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. But yeah, it was decent performance from Villa again. I really feel like Villa are a team I watch still. We keep saying that all the time each season. It's like, oh, look at Villa, look how they're doing. And they're doing good again this season. I feel like they've got a brilliant young player at the minute, Rodgers. He's him with along with Ollie Watkins, and that seems to be absolutely unbelievable. So going to be really interesting to watch Villa this season yet again and see where they end up by the end of it. Could they end up in Champions League again? Is going to be an interesting one. But like I said, them having Champions League games, is that going to affect their performances? It did affect them last Premier League game, so we'll see how it goes. Um, On to the Newcastle game. Another bit of a shock result that doesn't match up with this team's performances at all. Newcastle 0, Brighton 1. Now, Brighton are a really, really tough team to play against. They have been for a few seasons now, especially with their new manager, who is incredibly young to be a manager. It's crazy. But he seems to be a really, really solid manager, and Brighton are doing really well with him at the minute. Welbeck scores, and it's the first attempt on goal for Brighton throughout the whole game, and that's in the 35th minute, which, as a Newcastle fan, you sort of look at that and go, okay, we managed to keep them at bay for 35 minutes. They have their first, it's not even the first shot on target, first attempt on goal, and we let them score it. What's gone wrong there? Really, really crazy. Newcastle wasted a lot of chances though, and I feel like that is a common theme with Newcastle this season. You saw it at Everton. Even when they played Man City, they wasted chances, and I felt like they did play pretty well, but they should have gone on and won that game instead with the chances they had, but they just waste them. With Brighton now, obviously Welbeck did score, but then he got stretched off. So that didn't look too good. Again, I've not been able to see any updates on Welbeck yet, so I'm not too sure what the injury was, but it never looks good when you see a player stretched off. You never wanna see any player stretched off. It's a bit of a worrying sight, especially when you're at the game and you're not sure what's gone on. Everton Fan TV says, "I think Pereira took the penalty." Jack says, "The Fulham pen was shocking. The 11-year-olds at Anfield on Sunday took 2 better pens." Yeah, and about that, how evil was David James not letting a single one of them go in? Ellis says, "I agree." Next time I'm in Hotel Anfield, which will probably be the Leverkusen game, can I treat you to a drink, Courtney? Unfortunately, no. Sorry, I don't take drinks off people as much as I appreciate the thought and idea behind it. But thank you anyway. I hope you enjoy Hotel Anfield and I hope you enjoy the Leverkusen game. I always say to people, if you do see me out and about, like at the football, feel free to come over and say hi and introduce yourself. I'm completely fine with that. The amount of people who message me afterwards and go, "I've just seen you, but was too nervous to come over," or "You looked busy," or whatever. Don't worry, just please come over and say hi. I'd rather that than have a weird message later on saying, "I just saw you." Come over and say hi and introduce yourself. Jack saying, "Do we know how long Welbeck's out for? Being key for Brighton this season." Yeah, exactly. It's an interesting injury for them. Whether they can somehow find someone who can fill the slot for him for a bit, but also if he's out for a while, it's going to be really difficult for Brighton. I feel like with how key he has been so far with them. Um, Vic says, Do you know who the only remaining unbeaten team is? Because I do. Do you also know who's currently top of the league? Because I do. So you can't really put that at the minute. Go Six is saying I didn't just see you, but hello, Courtney. Ella saying fair enough. Jack says it did take me a while to approach you in Hotel Anfield and stuff. Now it's not really too much of an issue. Yes, see, I'm a nice person. Come and say hi. I'll have a chat with you. Yeah, whatever. I always have people as well going, "Wish I took a selfie with you." Feel free to ask for a selfie, which I still think's crazy if someone wants a selfie with me, but I've had it before. It's crazy. The first time it happens though, it is a bit like, "What?" I had a mate with me the first time it happened, and we'd been arguing over the fact of like he was like, "Yeah, people around here know you," and I was like, "They really don't," because very few people who go to the match know me. It's probably like 1 in 10,000 or something like that. And it was quite funny because then straight after that conversation, someone come over in the pub and was like, "You're Courtney," and we started talking football and like, yeah, really good time. I really do enjoy chatting to anyone that watches the channel or anything like that about football because I'm interested to see everyone else's opinion. So yeah. Um, Last game I'm going to get on to is Southampton 2, Leicester 3. Two teams who are in a really tough position in the league right now, and the game definitely brought a lot of goals, which is unusual, sort of relegation battle teams. Um, it's just crazy to see so many goals from them. Um, the Southampton one though, the first Southampton goal, if you get the chance, go and watch it. It is almost Divock Origi against Barcelona-esque. Southampton get a free kick, which they take so quickly. It is unbelievable. But yeah, it leads to a goal because Leicester were just completely caught blindsided and crazy that like the Southampton go up to a 2-0 lead and just completely waste it. But it's really positive for Leicester also look at it and go, we come back from getting beat 2-0. So there's a massive negative there for Southampton, but there's a massive positive there for Leicester. Be interesting to see if that affects them at all in the next few games. Mentally, it is going to play on the players' minds, but we'll see how it goes. Um, Southampton did have plenty of chances, though. They just didn't take them. And then once Leicester got back into the game, that was it. It felt like for Leicester, they were going on to win it no matter what. But Leicester's goal though did actually winning goal did actually come in the last second from Ayew and crazy celebrations afterwards obviously for the Leicester fans. Any win they get is massive because they are one of the teams we are all looking at going, right, we expect them to be in the relegation battle. It's probably about 6 teams at the minute, I'd say, where we're all looking at them, trying to figure out where they'll be at the end of the season. Um, it was a really even game now I've got on here. There was 52% of possession to Southampton and 58 to Leicester. Attempts wise, there was 14 from Southampton and 18 from Leicester, but there was 7 on target from Southampton and 4 on target from Leicester. This is what I was sort of going on about with Southampton wasting them chances earlier on in the game. So I am going to quickly go to the comments, and then there's one game that is currently should be getting played, yeah, which is 10 minutes in. I'll go and have a look at that actually and see if there's. So it's Forest and Palace is currently 0-0. That kicks off at 8 o'clock tonight. So let me know your thoughts on it. Personally, I think Forest get the win. But let me know if you wanna put your predictions in for that. Let's go back now. Jack, I have 2 pictures with you. I think, yeah, you probably do, to be honest. Vic says, imagine if we go invincible and don't win the title. It's about getting the wins and it's about having better performances than City are currently having. I think I'd be really disappointed at the minute if City keep up the performances they have done, where it's not the best from City at all, and they win the league. I'll be really disappointed if no one else wins it. Um, Jack says, not sure if West Ham or Southampton this weekend collapsed the most. Credible scenes at the end though, 100%. Do you think it's probably West Ham now? In my opinion. Michael, he lives in Tallahassee in North Florida, talking about Brighton. Does anyone know how many games Milner has to play to get the most games played record? Thanks. That is an interesting question, that. I will try and look into it at some point. I've never been to Tallahassee. I do want to go to North Florida at some point. The furthest north I've probably has been um, is St. Augustine, which is the other side of Florida, isn't it? Tallahassee. But yeah, it's definitely we want to go a bit more north and check that out because we've not been up there yet. I hope you're doing okay as well after the 2 hurricanes after Helene and Milton. They were horrific. Luckily, though, obviously Milton wasn't as bad as what people were expecting it to be. Going back onto the football, Ellis. So what do you reckon to the membership scheme at the weekend? They are doing it for 5 games on Sunday afternoon. It was 4 games, actually, it was 4 plus. So if you got 4 credits, you could have got a ticket. And then, yeah, on Sunday afternoon, they dropped it down to 2. You're saying, Ellis, that you only managed 1 Premier League game against Brighton last season. Um, Check you got a credit for that, though. If it's the only Premier League game you did, if it depends on if it was a season ticket seat or not, which is a bit crazy. But yeah, I do think every single person was online talking before the Chelsea game, saying how many tickets they were online. I really don't understand why on either Friday or Saturday evening the club didn't go, okay, let's drop it down a 3 or 2 or whatever and just see how it went. Um, it was a bit crazy leaving it such last minute. Callum says Leicester's attacking power is better than Wolves right now. I think Wolves may go. Interesting. I think Wolves, especially defensively, are playing pretty well. Um, so we'll see how that goes. The only thing is with Leicester, I don't think defensively they're that solid. So it could be easier for teams to come back in and get a draw or maybe even a cheeky win. Jack is also going for Forest in this game against Palace, saying he thinks they're in better form, so I think they'll get the win. Probably be a close game, though, 100% agree. Um, Ellis is saying 3-1 tonight to the home side, which is Forest. Vic saying you have tough games coming up. What are your predictions? I think losses feel Arsenal, Madrid, and us. I don't think we lose all 3 of them at all. I think Arsenal might be a draw at the weekend. Madrid, um, Madrid, I think might be a draw, and then I think we get a cheeky win over City. I think so. I think Arsenal and Madrid are draws, cheeky win against City. The only reason I was thinking Madrid might be able to get the win against us, but I don't feel like Madrid are the team that we played in the past. where we've had that last game at Anfield was horrific. Do not want to be reminded of it, but it was like a completely different side to what Madrid seem to be now playing wise. Like I said, the only threat is going to be Bellingham. I feel like Bellingham was massive for Madrid. Bellingham's massive for any team he plays for, but that's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Um, Everton Fan TV says James Milner has to play 16 more matches to overtake Gareth Barry is the answer to your question. Thanks for that. I definitely think we'll see that from Milner in all honesty. So we could see him break the record very soon. It's not that hard of an ask for him. Callum says Forest 1, Palace 2, I'm going to say. Interesting. Thick says, who knows, Liverpool might make me look like an idiot again. James says, hi Courtney, what did you think of yesterday? And can we beat Arsenal on Sunday as well? If you go to earlier in the video, I do address yesterday's game. I'm trying to keep this as short as possible because I'm aware there's another game on for people to go and watch. But like I said, with Arsenal on Sunday, I think it might be a draw, but you never know. Vic says, I think Forest Palace will be 0-0 or 1-1. Andrew says, hey Courtney, lovely talking to you at the Red Men party. Lovely to meet you too. Sorry I didn't get to chat much to you. I had to leave slightly early because I was knackered. I've had a busy time at the minute and it's even busier at the minute. Ellis again asking about Arsenal on Sunday. Like I said, I think it'll be a draw. Don't hold me to that. Everton Fan TV, you don't think Mbappe or Vinicius Junior is a threat versus Real Madrid? I haven't seen much of Mbappe there yet. But when we've played PSG in the past, when he had Mbappe, we were able to keep him quiet. I do think he's a brilliant player, but I don't know. I just feel like in the past we've known how to handle him, so I trust us with that. Vinicius Junior, it depends what version of him turns up. He plays well against us, but I don't know. I do think in my head I've just got a draw. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, I'd like the win, but I'm not 100% sure where that's gonna go. Fika says, if you beat us, then I won't have Starbucks for a month. Okay. Jack has said, from the junior always plays well against us 100%. Andrew says, that was fine, I understood. Um, even Paul left before then, which was weird. Oh, was Paul not there for the second half? Hope everything's okay with Paul. Um, yeah, and then, oh, before the end. Right, okay. I was getting confused then, thinking Paul left before I did. But yeah, like I said, there's a game going on right now, which is still 0-0, I think. Um, Apparently, Wood for Forest has just missed two golden opportunities to score. So, that being said, I'm going to go. I shall see you all possibly at the weekend. I'm waiting to see if I'm going to be doing a match day vlog for Arsenal yet. I just need to see. Like I said, I've got a very busy week coming up, so I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to be able to go out and watch it or not. Um, Keep an eye out as well. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff coming up lately that at the minute I can't share anything of, but um, once once there's stuff there, I'll share with you all to see. So keep an eye out for all that. But yeah, like I said, go to Patreon if you want to continue being a part of this show. And like I said, I really appreciate everyone being a part of it, and I appreciate everyone being a part of Patreon. Bringing it over to Patreon just helps me support the channel a bit better because I'm sure if you speak to anyone that does YouTube lately, YouTube you don't really make much money off, especially lately. It seems to be algorithms are all crazy and yeah, just the more money I can put into the channel, the more time and effort I can put into it, sort of thing. It's just I want to bring you good content and I want to bring you more content on a like continuous basis and not just be, oh, here's some stuff now and again. Here's the match day vlogs. I want to bring you as much as I can to do with football, to do with Liverpool as a city, to do with all the stuff that I'm interested in that I'm sure a lot of people in the chat are interested in. But yeah, it's gonna it's hopefully gonna be the start of something really good these next few months, and I'm really excited for it. Like I said, Patreon, less than £4 a month. This program will be going over to Patreon. Patreon is linked in the description below, and also if you do sign up to the supporter tier on Patreon, you will get access to exclusive monthly giveaways. This month is a Mark Lawrence and then Phil Neal signed programme. Next month there was something really cool. It is a Curtis Jones signed item, and for Christmas there's even bigger prize then. So make sure you go and check out Patreon if you can support it. Means the world to me. I am massively, massively appreciative of it. And who knows, if we get enough people on there, one day I might look at doing some sort of live event sort of thing and see if we can get people together for that, because it would be really cool to see everyone who supported the channel, whether that's just meeting up in a random pub for drinks with you all, or like something like that. I don't think I can do something where like I could talk to yous on stage. It's a bit weird when it's just me on my own, I feel like. But I'd definitely love to be able to give more back to everyone. Um, so yeah, that being said though, I shall see you all for possibly the Arsenal game. If not, it'll definitely be the Leverkusen game. That being said, see you all then. Bye.